Okay, it says I'm live. It says it's poor connection quality, but what would you expect from an airport? If anybody pops in, please let me know if you can hear me or not. I'm trying a different kind of setup here with my, I'm kind of charging the phone and running a mic into it at the same time, so I want to make sure that this dongle adapter thing that I have going on here is actually allowing the microphone to come in. So give me a comment and let me know if I have audio or not. If not, then I'll just revert back to the way that I usually do it. But anyway, I don't hear anybody complaining yet, which is a good thing. There's a few people in here, so I will go ahead and get us off and started here, guys. So it is once again Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time for me to join you guys live. Now I apologize, I could not join you guys last weekend on Saturday. I was in Philadelphia and I was working really long hours on a show in Philadelphia, and so we had to skip last week's show. But I didn't want to miss 2 weeks in a row, which is why this week, right now, I am coming to you from a cafe here in LaGuardia Airport in New York. So I left DC this morning. I left DC, my flight was at about 10 a.m. Got here to LaGuardia about 11 a.m. It's now 1 p.m. I'm actually on my way to Montreal, but I have a 4-hour layover here. So I've been hanging out here for about 2 hours already, and I've got about an hour and 45 minutes-ish until my next flight boards. So I figured I'd take advantage of it and do a live show from the airport with you guys from my phone here. So like I said, I have found myself a nice little spot. Well, it was a nice little spot. This little cafe that I'm in right now, they decided just before I went live to start blasting this ridiculous music, which is driving me nuts. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you can hear me fine over the music. I do have my microphone set up on top here. But yeah, so I figured I'd stream from here. And what I want to talk to you guys today about is a little bit about what I do full-time. So what my job is. So, you know, I'm not big enough on YouTube to make all of my money and everything off of just doing YouTube videos. So I do have a full-time job, and that job requires me to travel around quite a bit. So I wanted to share that with you guys, what I do, and talk a little bit about traveling for work, and specifically video. Hey, Lee's in here, says audio is fine, no problem. Awesome. Thank you for confirming that, Lee, because like I said, good old iPhones with no more headphone jacks to them. I have a crazy adapter setup where I have the phone plugged into a USB port at this table, running through a dongle that splits, and then adapted to, basically I have 6 different adapters connected to this thing just to make it work. But it is working, so that's good. So one thing I do want to say also, guys, sorry if I sound a little nasally and a little stuffed up. I feel miserable right now. I have been sick for the past, I guess this is day number 3. I was really concerned based on how I was feeling yesterday, and even worse the day before. I was really concerned about this trip. Long days of travel are never easy regardless, but being sick does not help. And so yeah, I am sick. I'm not feeling fantastic, so if I do stop and grab a tissue at some point, you guys will know why. But so, oh, job opening. Someone's getting fired. But so I just wanted to hang out with you guys here. I'm going to talk about a few things, but it's really kind of open forum. So if you guys have any questions about anything at all that you want to ask me, whether it's travel related or just video related, YouTube related, whatever you guys got. Maybe you guys are looking for some life lessons. I don't know if I can give them to you, but I can try. Anything you guys got, I just want to be able to hang out with you guys for a little while here. I've basically got this cafe place like all to myself. It's just me and a ton of staff. So they're all giving me a weird look for having this elaborate setup on my table here. But you know what? I don't care. So I'm gonna hang out with you guys. So let me dive right into it. So, like I said, I am not big enough yet to go full-time YouTube. I do make a little bit of ad revenue money, but I mean, we're talking like $100 every month, every other month. You know, I'm not living off of that, and that's not why I got into YouTube. It's not what I'm really trying to do. You know, as stuff develops, I may go more towards pursuing more revenue from YouTube, and who knows, maybe one day going full-time. For the time being, I have a full-time job. I actually have 2 full-time jobs. So I run my company, Bart Johnson Productions, where I do a lot of video production for my own clients. I do a lot of corporate, a lot of commercial work. But then I also have a full-time job for a company that's based in London. And this company is called Web's Edge. I've worked for them for just about 4 years now. And what we do is we produce conference television. So I know that doesn't sound super exciting, but it can be sometimes. So what we do is whenever these associations have their big annual meetings that everybody comes to, we produce a daily television program that shows at that show and online. It's almost like a news style program in the way it's structured. But yeah, we go and we do that. And so I produce, I shoot, and I edit for that. So what we do is we have a host. We go to the conference when it's happening. We have the host come, we set up a little studio. We do sit-down interviews, we shoot them during the day, edit and turn them around the exact same day, get them put online, and also make about an hour to hour and a half long program of all the stuff that happened at the conference during that day. And in addition to that, and this is where the really cool stuff usually comes in, because conferences can be really stressful, and I'll get to that in a second too, but in addition to that, we pre-produce all this content months in advance for other people. So we have these like 5 to 6 minute little vignettes, little featurettes that show as part of our show. So let me give you an example. I was just in Philadelphia for 10 days. We were doing the International Association of Chiefs of Police conference. So it's police organizations from all around the world. You know, we had FBI, we had US Border Patrol, we have US Parks Police, we have tons of international organizations as well. Pardon me guys, I'm gonna grab a tissue while I'm talking about this. But so what we did is in the months leading up to it, we reach out to all these different organizations and we contract with them to make these 5 to 6 minute, almost like mini documentaries about their departments and what they do. And so it's really cool to get to do all these different like mini stories, and then those get finished up before the conference and then get sent off with the crew, me, to the conference itself and get also added into the show. So we have some pre-produced stuff, we have some on-site stuff. And so I produce, edit, and shoot the pre-produced stuff. And when I'm on conferences, I shoot and I edit, which means I'm shooting for the first half of the day, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., edit an entire show the second half of the day, get it distributed. It's a quick turnaround. And that leads to me being sick. So like I said, I just was on a 10-day conference for the International Association of Chiefs of Police in Philadelphia, and it was stressful. It's a big show, there's a lot of stuff to do. It was 10 days of work. I had some days where I was up 21 hours and had a very short turnaround. But I was fine when I was there. As soon as I get home and relax, I start feeling sick. And this has happened to me before. And I did a little bit of research and I looked it up, and there is a name for this. It's called the letdown effect. And basically what happens is if you keep your body at such a high stress level for so long, just going, you don't end up getting sick while everything is happening, but as soon as you give your body a break, as soon as you relax, it just gets crushed. And so that's what's happening to me right now. That's what's happened to me actually quite a few times in the past after longer and more arduous shows. And it sucks. It especially sucks when I don't get the time to recover. You know, right now I had 2 days at home, and they weren't even days at home. I had to go back to the office. I still had stuff to catch up on, had to get stuff done and get ready for this next show that I'm going off to Montreal to do. So yeah, it's a lot. So I am doing better than I was that first day back. I was miserable. I was pretty much bedridden. I'm not 100% yet, so I'm hoping to just get to Montreal and crash out and relax and keep getting a little bit better, because I'm just going to be diving into this next show and going. Lee, I saw that you just commented on there. You said you've experienced the exact same thing. Yeah, I mean, I always had this stuff come up. And I didn't know there was an actual name for it until I looked it up, and I found a whole article about it. And yeah, it's called the letdown effect, because I could push myself so hard and be fine, but then when I got a chance to breathe and take a break, my immune system would just collapse. So that's where I'm at. But anyway, so that show took the life out of me, but the show must go on. So I am actually off to my next show. Like I said, up in Montreal. This one is for intelligent transport systems. So this is actually a pretty cool one. It's about like smart cities and automated transportation, automated vehicles, all sorts of stuff like that. So the subject matter is pretty cool. So I'm thankful for that. That'll be a cool thing to do. And again, I'm shooting and editing up there, which means I'm traveling with a whole bunch of camera equipment. So we usually bring 3 cameras. And so we have kits of stuff like our lighting and all that stuff that gets sent ahead of us. This conference is technically different because we're actually renting stuff up in Montreal, but usually we have a kit of lighting and batteries and that stuff that meets us there. But cameras are something that are, obviously they're valuable. We really rely on them. We need to make sure they're safe, so they travel with us. So my coworker, we travel in 2-person teams. My coworker is heading to Montreal tomorrow, and he is bringing one of our cameras, but I am traveling with our other 2. So, I've got one of them right here, and that is our Sony FS5. So I really love the Sony FS5 because the quality, for the most part, is on par with our FS7, especially because we're not doing any crazy color grading. We're usually shooting stuff really compressed because it's a 1-day turnaround. But the body on this sucker is so small. It's crazy. I just saw a question come through. Let's see what we got here. So Graphic Mill, how do we ship our gear usually? So no, we don't use FedEx. We actually have these gigantic, they're probably like at least 4-foot by 4-foot ATA cases that have everything in it. They've got light stands, they've got our LED lights, they've got cables, they've got absolutely everything that we need in them. And so we use large freight carriers. So they put them on trucks and move them all around the country. Pardon me, guys, again, part of the miseries of being sick while traveling. But I'm making sure to get plenty of fluids. Sick or not, I got a 4-hour layover. You know I gotta have a beer. And this is a big ass beer. But so, Graphic Mill, let me go into that a little bit more for you. I kind of brushed it off. So my company that I work for full time, Web's Edge, they're based in London, but we ship this stuff all across the country, and we do probably about 40 shows a year. So there's a few teams of us going around. So these things go from one city to another and pop all around. And so we use those big like freight carriers, and they go through like the show management shipping, because they're all going to conferences, and so exhibitors all have to pack their stuff up and ship them out and all that. So we use that. But when I travel personally, like I do a lot of travel for my own personal clients, then all that stuff comes with me. And so I don't get the luxury of shipping anything. I end up checking like 6 or 7 bags and bringing that stuff with me, packing them in Pelican cases, making sure everything is as safe as possible. Cameras and batteries, of course, stay on me. Camera because I don't want it to break, and batteries because it's illegal to check batteries under the plane. Please remember that all batteries must be on your person. Batteries have to be in the bags that you're carrying. You know, there's probably not a whole lot of risk of them catching on fire, but you don't want to be the one that has to explain yourself on the news because your flight had to have an emergency landing because you put batteries in the cargo hold. So, man, they are just breaking glasses here left and right, aren't they? But yeah, so batteries and cameras stay on my person. Lighting, drones without the batteries, and all that other stuff I put in really rugged cases and I check it. Now let me tell you a little tip. I wish I had this on me right now. But most airlines have what they call a media rate for luggage. So I usually fly American. It's just who I have all my points with, and I've just stuck with them forever, so that's just the way I go. I know they're not the greatest airline, but they do, they're one of the many that has what they call a media rate. And what the media rate is you show media credentials, and they have a special rate for baggage. They like disregard the weight limit, so you don't get fined for stuff that's overweight. And I think it's something like up to 100 bags. It's ridiculous. And what it does is, I think it comes down to $50 a bag, at least on American, and don't quote me on that, I don't remember. But that becomes a whole lot cheaper when you're checking like 7 bags, as opposed to if you were a regular customer. Because when you're a regular customer, it's like the first one's 35, then the next one's like 100, then the next one's like 2, and then they just get more and more and more. But if you show them media credentials, you can get this special rate when you're checking in. Now you might say, oh, but I don't have media credentials. Here's where the kicker is. You can make your own media credentials. Yes, I'm telling you right now the deep dark secret that I use all the time for this. I had a buddy make me a badge, and there's nothing wrong with what I'm telling you. This is perfectly okay. Make me a badge. It has my photo on it. It has my company name. It has, it says on there media or press. Mine says media. And then one thing that it has to have on there is an expiration date. Got this thing laminated, got a nice little lanyard, clip it to my luggage. When they ask me for my media credentials, whoop, there it is. And it's legit, guys. I mean, it seems sketchy, but if you're traveling with that much equipment to go and shoot something, even if it's for your own personal company, I'm sorry, but you're media. So save some money on the baggage, make yourself a media badge. And make sure whichever airline you're checking that you do research what their media rates are, because I don't want you to go through the trouble and get in a fight with somebody when it turns out their airline doesn't even offer it. But American does, and I have made use of it before. I'm gonna take a quick beer break here. But yeah, once again, guys, I'm here for you, just hanging out. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to prop them in there, and I'll gladly answer them. Graphic Mill, great info. All right, see, I'm glad I could help you out with that. I can't tell you how many people I've told about that trick of just creating your own media credentials, and you know, it'll save you a lot of money. It's not going to save you a ton of money if you're traveling with, like, if you're only checking like 2 cases. But if you get to the point where you're checking like, you know, 7 or 8, or I mean even 3 or 4, it doesn't even have to be. Like basically anything over 2, you're going to be saving money, and a good bit of money. I think the last time I traveled with 7 bags, it saved me $500 using that media rate, which was awesome. Is it just me, or are they like turning the music in here up? I think they're trying to get me to go away or something. It's really annoyingly loud. But anyway, so like I said, when I travel, cameras and batteries always stay on me. Cameras because they're important and you don't want them to get damaged. And batteries because they have to be on your person. So I have my 1 camera bag with that FS5, and I also have down here, I have my backpack. Let me see if I can show you guys my backpack. So it's kind of under here, but here you go, guys. Here's my backpack down here. Got my GH5. These are all my pills that my wife packed me because I'm feeling sick. So I've got my backpack with all my stuff in there. You guys can see the little cafe I'm hanging out in. Let me turn this back around. So those are the two bags that I usually have on my person. And they're generally pretty loaded up and full of electronics and electronics equipment. Just for cameras and stuff. Saw somebody else had a comment in here. Michael Pierce, she's right, I did the same thing and it works because you can be press within your own company or anyone's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does work and it is legit. It seems sketchy because you're making your own thing, but I mean, you're traveling with camera gear for a job, whether it's your own company or whatever, you are media. So get that media rate. Yeah, I don't know. But so, like I said, I've got these bags, they're full of electronic equipment. And one thing that happened to me today in DC, and I found really annoying, and I want to talk about this, is TSA has a brand new rule, apparently. Now, I haven't traveled by air in, admittedly, probably a few months, maybe 2 months, because I drove to Philadelphia and back. But TSA has apparently changed their rules where every piece of electronic equipment larger than a cell phone has to come out of your bag for security. That's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I understand before it used to be, you know, your laptop has to come out. And, you know, it can't be on top of anything or anything on top of it. So, what I used to do is I would get 2 bins. One, all my shoes, my belt, my, you know, anything I had in my pockets, all goes in that. The other one, pull the laptop out, laptop goes in that bin. And then there was my backpack, which yes, had camera equipment in it, but nothing was on top of each other. And then a camera bag, and it would go through. And of course, every once in a while, they'd flag the camera bag inevitably and just be like, oh, we need a bag check it. Like, yeah, of course, you know. There's a lot of gear in there, a lot of batteries. Probably looks very frightening on an x-ray machine. But this time I went and I did the same thing and they stopped my backpack. And the lady's like, whose bag is this? I'm like, oh, it's mine. She's like, you have electronics in here? Yeah. She's like, oh, you have to take them out. I was like, if you take the electronics out of that bag, it will be an empty bag. And so she's like, oh, well, you have to do it or we have to check it. And so I told them, well, I've got time. I'd rather just have you pull it aside and check it. So I thought they were just going to bring it over and do their little swap thing. No, they went, took it back, took everything out, ran it through again, and even then took it over and did the swab and check it. Same thing for the camera bag. So literally, excuse me guys. Oh man, being sick sucks. So literally, everything I had packed, because it was 95% electronics, every single thing I had packed, they disassembled and took out and ran through. It took 6 freaking bins to run all this stuff through. Now, luckily it wasn't very busy, but are you telling me that in a busy time, like granted, yes, I always get to the airport at least 2 hours early. I'm never in a rush, but that doesn't mean other people aren't in a rush. Like, I mean, it's gonna take me forever to dismantle all that. And they pulled out everything. They were pulling out lenses and all this stuff. And I started asking them, I was like, what do you consider electronic? I was like, yeah, anything with a circuit board in it, I guess you would call electronic, but like the handle grip that attaches to the FS5, is that thing on its own an electronic? I mean, yes, it has parts, but like on its own, it doesn't turn on and off, or it doesn't work, it doesn't function as its own thing. It's a piece of something else. But no, it all had to come out, all had to be thrown out, and 6 freaking bins. Can you imagine how much people are gonna hate me if I sit there and I'm like, oh wait, sorry, one more. You know, I'm carrying 2 bags. I look like a simple guy to go through security. And then the person behind me has to sit there and watch as my 2 bags expand into 2 bags and 6 bins, all of which get flagged anyway, and I have to be pulled off to the side and checked. I just think it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, they need to have, along with that media baggage rate, they need to have some sort of media line. They need to have some sort of media screening line where it's like, look, yeah, we'll flip the bag open for you, but taking absolutely everything out is ridiculous. I mean, and time consuming. And like I said, I'm not even worried about my time because I'm smart and I get here early, but everybody's time. I mean, I'm gonna hold the whole lineup if that happens. So I just saw a comment come through. Graphic Mill. Next time you take out anything that is actually electronic. Yeah, lenses are not really electronic. So I actually brought that up to the woman. I was sitting there and it's this big lens. It's a Sony lens. And I asked her, I was like, why does that have to come out? She goes, anything electronic larger than a cell phone. I was like, well, it's not really an electronic. I was like, it's a lens. And she kind of looked at me for a second and was like, oh, well, lenses are electronic. She obviously doesn't know. And technically she's right. It wasn't a full manual, like, prime lens. Yeah, there are electronic components inside this lens, but it in itself is not a working and functioning electronic just as itself, sitting there. So that's where I'm wondering where this definition of electronic comes in. Because, I mean, yeah, it's got a few little motors in it, but without, like, yeah, there's no way for it to be a standalone electronic. And for the majority of it's just freaking glass. I don't know. I was really just trying to get the sense of what qualifies and what doesn't. And of course I couldn't really get anything from the TSA people. Not saying that they are being a pain in the ass, because I was probably starting to be a little bit of a pain in the ass, because instead of taking everything out, I told them, I was like, no, I'd rather you just do it. Resistance is futile, you'll be assimilated. No, I will not, Shiznuts, I will not. And that's the point. That's why I'm bringing this up. I'm like, something needs to be done. I get it. It's for security. It's, you know, I'm complaining about something that's supposed to keep us safe. But there needs to be tiers. There needs to be something for media, or maybe I need to get TSA pre-check. You know, I've been doing this job for 4 years. I travel to a new city at least once a month. Why I don't have pre-check yet, I don't freaking know. People have told me so many times and I just haven't done it. I don't have a good excuse. I think I'm always just too tired when I come back from something and I'm like, oh, I'll do it before the next one. And then the next one comes up in like 2 weeks and I'm like, well, never did it. So, well, live and learn, right? But all my complaining about this aside, I do want you guys to be aware that this is a new TSA thing, and that at least in DC, Reagan National, they are starting to enforce it. So if you have a lot of equipment, if you're traveling with camera equipment, or I mean, even if you're just traveling in general, I mean, we all have battery packs and all sorts of stuff on us all the time, laptops, iPads for the kids or whatever, you know, or for yourself. I don't know why I said for the kids, I don't even have kids. But just be aware that this is something that's happening now, and be prepared for that. So I saw a couple questions come through. Definitely get pre-check from Chiznuts. Yeah, you know, it's, I've been told so many times, and I've even told myself so many times, and it just hasn't happened, and so I need to do it. Pardon me, guys, still sick. They really don't have a clue. They're doing what they think they need to do, pull out the camera bodies, and that's about it. Start there anyway. Yeah, so Graphic Mill, that's a good point. I thought about that. Like, if I had actually pulled a few things out, would they not have bothered pulling everything out? Or maybe the fact that I was kind of being an a-hole. Maybe I got the full treatment and they pulled absolutely everything out. Strong possibility. So I'll try it again. And I still have a border to cross today, so God help me, you know. It was early, I was stuffy, I felt bad. They sprung this new rule on me. I was being a jerk. But semi-justifiable jerk, don't you think? I mean, I think so, but whatever. We can get into another time. We can continue the argument in the comments or something. So let's see here. Michael Pierce. You can get on a list where you don't have to do that every time. The thing will TSA will have you on a pre-screening list. There's a fee, but you don't have to. Yeah, so Michael Pierce, I think what you're referring to is that TSA pre-check that we're talking about. So yeah, it's a thing where you can go, you get pre-screened, they make sure you're all good. I think it's like $80 or something like that. But then, yeah, you don't have to go through, you don't have to take everything apart, you don't have to take your shoes off. You get in what's usually the slightly faster line and that kind of stuff. So TSA pre-check is something that they offer. But TSA pre-check has always bothered me because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but TSA is not actually a government organization. TSA is a private contracted company that is hired to do our security. So like now we have that company Clear that you see in some airports. They're contractors, they're private organizations. So they're almost like selling a service. And so you're like paying a company to get like, oh, get to the front of the line. I don't know, it just seems kind of weird for something that's supposed to be our security and safety. But yeah, I'm not trying to go on some crazy anti-TSA tangent here. I have friends who used to work for TSA, but I don't know if you guys knew that they are private. But let's see here. Shiznets. It's like getting a good computer mouse. Makes your life so much easier and breezier. Are you referring to TSA pre-check? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Anyways, positive vibes. Thank you, Shiznets, for digging me out of it. Yeah, I was starting to go down a deep, angry old man route there, wasn't I? So flip a switch. What are you excited about these days? Any new tech you've gotten or got announced? So yes. Let's see. There's been a few things that have come out recently. Nothing that I'm particularly excited about. So the A7R3, of course, was just announced. I'm not particularly interested in that camera, but I am interested in seeing what will potentially come in the A7S III, because I was always interested in the A7S series, and I almost bought an A7S II. I almost bought an A7S II, but then the GH5 sort of won me out on other features like the flip screen. I was looking for something really smaller for YouTube video purposes, and the GH5 just beat it out. And I saw you just asked, am I a full frame guy? So I kind of was. You know, I have the Canon 5D Mark III, but I've always been more of a Super 35 shooter because I shoot traditional like video cameras and stuff like that. You know, my Ursa Mini and whatnot. But I'll admit it, I was a bit of a sensor snob. You know, I scoffed at the GH4 and all these other Micro Four Thirds. What was that? But you know, I scoffed at all these smaller sensors, but then the GH5 has been blowing me away. I've been so happy with it. I bought it to be a YouTube camera only, and you know, I thought it was going to be YouTube only, and now I've used it on a ton of projects, and I'm really happy with it. Granted, you have to be able to work your lenses and your depth of field a little bit more, but you can get what you want out of it, and I really like it. So I've never owned any of those Sonys, but I did shoot a little bit on an A7S II. I rented one when I went to Knoxville to kind of check it out, and I liked it. So I'd be interested to see what kind of tech they put into the A7S III. So I can't say that I'm interested in buying it, but what I'm more interested in is seeing what they put into it, because that always excites me, is seeing the tech and where they're moving towards. Like, I like the fact that this A7R3 still has S-Log and all that stuff in there, stuff that they left out of the A9. So there's that. So the let's see, the A7R3 is pretty much like the only main thing that's been released lately. Oh no, I'll tell you one thing that I've really actually been salivating over is the new Zenmuse X7 camera for the DJI Inspire 2. So I don't own an Inspire 2, but I've always wanted one. And now that they have this X7 camera, the Super 35, with their own lenses that are like carbon fiber, some of them have built-in NDs and stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're talking about putting all in all like $8,000 worth of stuff up in the air, but it's another one of those things where you look at the technology and it's absolutely amazing that all of that is available for only like $8,000. The camera itself, I think, is like $2,600. The lenses are like a little over $1,000 a piece. And then the Inspire 2 itself is going to be the next big thing. But I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, think about just how many years ago. It's got to be like, what, 3-4 years ago that the Phantom 1 came out and you had to strap your GoPro to it. And now we've got raw Super 35mm cameras up in the air with built-in ND and like all this. Like, that's freaking awesome. And not stuff that you have to like kit together in your garage. So my wife will never allow me to purchase one of those unless she like screws up something bad and like really owes me some brownie points or something. But I don't even, she'd have to like burn our house down or something for me to get enough brownie points to buy one of those. But that kind of stuff is really cool, because what it means is that give it a few more years and just imagine where the tech's going to be and imagine where the prices are going to fall to. It's just really cool stuff. So let's see here. We had a lot come in here. A lot of Sony stuff. Graphic Mill says the A7R3 does not shoot 4K 60. Really? Wow. That's interesting. Although I can kind of see that, because the R series is usually their like resolution series. You know, A7R, A7S, S is for sensitivity. And the S seem to be more for video. So maybe they can't do 4K 60 without a crop off of that high megapixel sensor on that. But maybe they'll have it in the S. I don't know. Did they have different codecs or frames per second capabilities in the A7R2 and the A7S2? I'm not sure. Wish there was a solid APS-C Super 35 option on the market right now. Shiznuts, what do you mean? Solid? Are you talking about like a smaller camera? Or are you talking about, I mean, you got stuff like the Panasonic EVA1 coming out. You've always had the Canon Cinema series. I mean, granted the C100 could use an update, and the C200 was a little bit of a, what is that? But yeah. You do a lot of traveling, and the sensor side determines lens sizes, and therefore I ended up with the GH2 back in the day. Yeah, that's a really good call. So I've been traveling with my GH5 a lot, and you're right. The lenses, the native lenses, are so much smaller. Now I only own one native lens. I own that 12 to 35 millimeter. But when I bought the GH5, I also bought a Metabones speed booster, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use my Canon full frame glass on this all the time. You know how many times I've brought those with me so far? 0. And I'm thinking about picking up the rest of the range, which is like a 35 to 100, which is like the 70 to 200 equivalent. Yeah, it's something. There's definitely something to be said about travel, about smaller sensor sizes, being smaller glass, just smaller kit. I mean, I'm not that young anymore, man. My back, you know, if I can keep that backpack lighter, I'm all for it. Let's see here. I'm an A7R2 owner, love that thing. Still loving the Ursa Mini. Looking forward to your Aperture 300D review. Aha! That's another thing I was about to mention. So before I mention that, before I get into 300D, let me see here. So Graphic Mill, I'm looking for a small Easy to travel with E and G camera, considering the upcoming Canon XF400 or the Sony Z90. So I don't know anything about that Sony, and I don't know anything specifically about the Canon XF400, but let me tell you this. My first camera when I started my company was the Canon XF300, and I had a shoot with that thing just a few days ago. It is still kicking, it is great. So if they're sticking in the tradition of making those well-rounded, you know, sort of master of nothing but kind of awesome at everything cameras, then I would go with the Canon XF400. Like I said, I don't know specifically a lot about that Sony, but I've been really happy with, and I've had this thing for like 6 years now, graphic mill. But yeah, I think Canon does pretty well in those areas. So it was mentioned, and we want to talk about stuff I'm excited about, the Aperture 300D. So before I left for Philadelphia, which seems like forever ago, it's got to be like 2 weeks ago now, I got the Aperture 300D. It came in, and I went out with my buddies from Gear Jones, and we spent the afternoon testing it. We compared it to a ton of different lights. We compared it to Joker HMIs. We compared it to an ARRI 2K Tungsten. We compared it to ARRI 650. We compared it to, God, we had a whole bunch of lights. We even threw in the 120D. We did the Aperture Mini 20, not to compare it, but just to see. Came TV Boltzmann. So we brought out a whole lighting lineup. And I have been so slammed. I immediately had to go to Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia for those 10 days. I had 0 sleep and 0 time. I had 2 days back in DC, and then this morning hopped on a flight, and now I'm here at LaGuardia Airport, heading up to Montreal, where I'm going to be until the 3rd. And unfortunately, I don't foresee myself being able to do a whole lot of recreational editing and whatnot, and getting that out. But I promise you guys that 300D video, actually I think it's gonna be a few videos, will be coming. I'm gonna do one on what you need to power that sucker, in terms of batteries, because I tried some different batteries to figure out what you do need to run it on battery. I'm gonna show you guys the comparisons of it to a whole bunch of other different lights. I know a lot of people want to see that. And then I'm going to show you guys some practical uses. We set up an awesome scene, and we use both the Joker and we use both the 300D to light those scenes. So that might be a little hint that they might be kind of comparable lights there, considering we use those two. But I promise, guys, that's coming. So do stay tuned, and I'll be having that coming. My hope is to get home on the 3rd. My hope. Get home on the 3rd. Try and relax. I think I'm supposed to go to some kid's birthday party or something. One of my friends' kids, or maybe we're just all getting together on the 4th. And I'm taking my wife to see Thor Ragnarok on the 4th. And then I think after that, I actually have some time to catch up, get my head right, hopefully not get sick again like I am right now. I'm really gonna try not to push myself too terribly hard at this Montreal conference, because I do not want to come back home and get sick all over again. Like I said, it's that, what they call the letdown syndrome, where you just keep yourself ramped up way too high for way too long, and when you stop, it just crashes hard. So hopefully none of that. But pardon me, guys, I know that's not the most attractive thing in a live stream there, but we are now pushing about 45 minutes on here. So if you guys have any more questions or anything, please feel free to ask away. I'm probably gonna order another one of these, so I'm gonna hang out for a little bit. I've got nothing but time. My next flight doesn't board until 2:45, so I'm hanging out. Shiznuts, ever tried the Vader mini primes? No, I haven't. And I'll tell you why. Because up until the GH5, like I said, I was a sensor snob. So I saw them, I was like, oh, these are really affordable and these are great. And then I realized, oh, they're made for teeny tiny sensors. That's why they're so affordable and portable. And I wrote them off. And then I got a hold of the GH5 and I started being like, you know what? I might want to put some serious glass on this and see what I can do with it. So I really would like to get a hold of some Vader mini primes and try them out and see what they're like. Because if you can get some amazing like cinematic prime lenses on there for the weight and size of Micro Four Thirds glass, like that would be awesome. Let's see here. Now they're even E and X mount. So what's X mount? I know E mount is Sony. What's X mount? Shiznuts. Maybe you can let me know. User swappable mount. That's a good one. All right. Oh, Shiznuts. I just said your name out loud here and got a look from a couple at the bar. Whoops. Alright, Graphic Mill, I would love the GH5. I'm really concerned about the autofocus. I'm used to Canon's dual pixel system and it's so dependable, but I could be wrong. So I will admit to you, Graphic Mill, I'm not an autofocus guy. Never have been. Majority of the lenses that I own aren't even electronic. Majority of them are full manual. It's just the way that I was used to doing things. I guess I'm an old school guy. And that's just how I do it. So I have heard people saying that with the version 2 firmware that it's gotten better. I can't speak to it personally, and I don't know what you're using it for. I mean, are you tracking like sports subjects? Are you tracking yourself for like vlog stuff? You know, I don't know. I know there's a ton of videos out there that'll cover it far better than I ever could, especially since I don't use it. But what I would check out is go find Max Yuriev's channel. And he did a lot of stuff testing it. Now, granted, he was testing it in the version 1 firmware, so version 2 is supposed to be a little bit better. I don't think it's going to be like a night and day difference. But check out Max Yuriev's videos on the GH5 autofocus. He spent a ton of time digging into that. And I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel and just, you know, come to the same conclusions that he did. So I would check that out. Let's see here. I think focus is a creative choice. I did see some tracking shots on a gimbal with Canon's dual pixel. Yeah, so like I said, I don't use autofocus, but I do know, and I think it's just a commonplace thing that everybody knows, that Canon's dual pixel is apparently a beast. And on a gimbal would be one time that I would want to use it. Actually, the reason that I bought the one native lens that I have on the GH5 is for gimbal work, but I still haven't even set it to auto yet. I usually just set my focus and go, and yeah. Alright, so let's see here. I'm gonna order myself another one of these, and it's cool, they got this little touchpad here. Let's see if I can show you guys. You guys are gonna see how overpriced everything is. So look, you got this whole thing here, so I can order my beer. Good lord, that's expensive. Place my order. There you go. And then I just go and I swipe my card over here. And look at that. You can get everything done in this world with almost zero human interaction. Isn't that what we all want? Let me get my card and pay the machine. There we go. Piece of cake, right? Woo! Scrolled a little too far. So graphic mill, haha, I'm really old. Tracking car racing. You're only as old as you feel, right? If that's true, then right now I'm like 130. Alright, let's see here. I love the SLR Magic Hyper Prime. Phaedra's Voigtlander 17.5. Oh, so yeah, the one set of lenses that I've really been looking into for Micro Four Thirds that I think I want to get are those Voigtlanders. And what I want to do is I want to put the SLR Magic Anamorphic 2.0 adapter, the 2X adapter, on it, and see if I can use those. So I think that'd be great. I think they'd be really, really nice little anamorphic adapt. Of course, it's not a cheap setup, and then it only works on my GH5. I'd like to have something where it would work on my Ursa Mini as well, but I have some experimenting to do. I do want to get that anamorphic adapter. I want to put it on some of my Rokinon lenses, see if I can make it work on my Ursa Mini, and then also with the speed booster, maybe see if I can get it to work on those Rokinons on the GH5 as well, so that I can have it work across multiple systems, because I don't like investing in something that only works on one camera. I like investing in stuff that I can utilize on multiple systems. Obviously, it makes the most money. They have roller coaster restaurants where you can order on a tablet and your order comes by tracks like that. Wow. Never seen one of those. This actually really surprised me here. I've only been to JFK Airport. Man, that music is loud. I've only been to JFK Airport in New York, which is awful. And so far, LaGuardia is pretty nice. Which is good, I guess, because I'm gonna end up spending 4 hours here in total. Okay. So I've got my beer ordered. We've gone through a bunch of stuff. We're sitting here, we're about an hour, so I'll probably be wrapping this up pretty soon, guys. But if there's anything else you guys wanna talk about, oh my goodness, thank you very much.
Oh, no worries.
Appreciate it. It was great, thank you. Oh, there we go. The beer came quick, man. Look at that. Gonna be really soft, I think, just not wide open. Yeah, so that's one thing that everybody gets all hyped up about. They're like, oh, this lens is 0.95 in terms of like the Voigtlanders, even some others. But when you're sitting there talking about, yes, cheers everybody, I gotta finish this one before this one she just brought me, good lord. But so, I mean, are you ever really gonna shoot at 0.95? How razor thin is your depth of field going to be at 0.95? Now, granted, you might not use that, but having a lens that goes to 0.95 means that you can drop it down to something like a 2.8, and you're starting to get more into that sweet spot where it gets, you know, a little bit sharper, as opposed to if you're working with a lens that's a 2.8 max, then you got to end up dropping into like a 4 or 5.6 before you get into its like sweet spot area. So even if the lens, you know, you're not going to use it at its complete widest, wide open, you know, 0.95, it gives you that room to back off into the sweet spot and still have nice depth of field. And then again, I know people who are ridiculous and do shoot them at 0.95, and I'm just like, oh, it doesn't look great. Like, yeah, it looks like somebody's drug-induced, you know, freaking dream sequence from a movie. Like, you can't tell anything. So, yeah, there you go. You just said 0.95 can be a really cool, dreamy look. Yeah, that's exactly what it goes for. Pardon me, guys. Alright, let's kill this one off here. Ah, it's good for you. Gesundheit, thank you. That one was a cough, not a sneeze, though. But I appreciate it anyway. Let's see what we got here. this Abhay Tawari. Not sure if I'm saying your name correctly, but yes. Cheers, brother. And he says, you are great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You are great as well for tuning in and joining me and helping keep me company here as I wait for my flight to Canada to happen. So again, for anybody who's just joining in, I am in LaGuardia Airport, and I'm about a little over halfway through actually I'm 3/4 of the way. All right, I'm 3/4 of the way through a 4-hour layover here, heading up to Montreal, where I'll be working for the week, and all that. So, oh, you know what? I was gonna say, I will be back, since I'm coming back next Friday. I will be back. I will be doing a live show on Friday afternoon. I'll actually be on Aperture's Facebook page doing our monthly live show. So first Friday of every month on Aperture's Facebook page, I do a live show. So I will be over there on this coming Friday. That'll be right after I get back into the United States and land. Hopefully I'll have a few minutes when I get home. But then next Saturday, I will again have a live show at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure if I have the subject matter chosen yet, but it will be a scheduled broadcast, so I'll go ahead and put that up on the channel and make sure to get everybody alerted and all that, so that you'll know when it's coming. But I will, assuming that I don't have some horrible cold crash when I come back again, be going live next Saturday at 1 o'clock. I'll be back at my home studio, and we'll get back on track there. That'll be, oh my goodness, that'll be November by then. So yeah, everybody have a big good Halloween. Halloween's coming out. Gee, I'm gonna be working through Halloween on this one. I didn't even think about that. Man, that's rough. So let's see what we got here. I'm fleeing the country already. No, I'm not fleeing. I'm just going for a week, and then I'm coming back. I'll be back next Friday, back to DC. Oh, you're in Vienna, Austria. Very nice, awesome. Thank you very much for joining. Where's everybody else joining in from? That's awesome. I never even think to ask that. I assume everybody's just like a block down the road or something like that. And then you're asking, what's the next big show or convention? So I've got this one that I'm heading to in Montreal, which is the Intelligent Transportation Systems, which is like smart cities and stuff, so it should be some cool stuff. But then I don't have anything until right after Thanksgiving. So end of November, I'll be heading to Boston and doing a conference then, and then hopefully, I think that's it in terms of travel for me for the rest of the year. But no guarantees. There might be a trip to New Orleans in December in there. I'm not sure yet, just got to figure it out. But no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, you guys know that you can subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and you can be alerted wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, anytime I go live or post up a video. Like that 300D comparison video that will be going up, or any of my live shows like this, so that you guys can come and hang out and join me. So make sure you do like, share, subscribe, and get other people joined in too, so people can come and hang out and whatnot. So let's see, Toronto, Canada. So I've never been to Toronto. I've been to Quebec once before, but it was about 15 years ago. So this is the first time that I'm going back in 15 years. So we'll see how it is. Hopefully all this feeling sick and nasty clears up, and I can actually get some time to hopefully enjoy it. Maybe we'll have some days where we wrap a little bit early and I can go out and grab something to eat and enjoy a little bit of the city, and not just be sort of curled up in bed the whole time. So another swig here. But anyway, guys, we are just about. They have beer in Montreal as well. You'll make it. Yes. Well, I am a big beer fan. If anybody couldn't tell. So I do like finding some local brews wherever I go and check it out. So this is just Sam Adams Oktoberfest, I'm ashamed to say, but it's the airport. They dress it up and make it look fancy, but it's still the airport. So what do we got here? Barney Stinson. When I'm sick, I stop being sick and be awesome instead. There you go. Yep, little How I Met Your Mother right there. But like I was saying, guys, we are now at about 2 o'clock on the nose, so we have been sitting here hanging out for about an hour. I've got about 45 minutes until I have to be boarding my flight to Montreal. It is over in the other terminal, which is apparently just a short little shuttle bus ride away, but I was hanging out here because I looked at the map of the airport and there's like nothing over near that gate, but there's a ton of stuff here, so I decided to hang out here. So I'm gonna have to go and make my way over there very shortly, and I'm gonna try and finish watching my my movie here, watching War of the Planet of the Apes on my iPad. So I'm gonna dive back into that, finish this beer off so that I can take a quick nap on the next flight and carry on. So guys, I really appreciate you hanging out and chatting with me, and keeping me company for this past hour, and hope I was able to entertain you guys and answer a few questions. If you guys have any further questions or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I do check all of my comments and respond to all the ones that are reasonable to respond to. And like I said, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share, and just let everybody know that Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, this is the place to be. I will see you guys a week from today. I'll be back in my home studio Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll make sure to post what our subject matter will be, because for right now, I just cannot think of it. But we will have a show, and I will see you guys then. All right, guys, take care. Wish me luck in Montreal, and I'll see you when I'm back stateside.